Death be not proud.
What's up, you bundles of sticks? Holy Diver here, and this is the I Am a Wargamer. I was nominated by VK Von Ketteringham and Alan Smith Wargaming. How did it start for me? I think the DNA for wargaming and miniature painting would be planted in my gene pool very early on, simply because when I was younger, let's go all the way back to the 90s, I believe All American Wrestling would end at 11. I'd put some money in my pocket and I'd go to the Cottonwood Mall. Don't look for it because it's not there anymore. The Cottonwood Mall, you enter through the west entrance, the food court, the tilt, right there at the doorway, and you could play video games, and most of the time Street Fighter II was unassailable. Too many big kids bogarting the machine. You play Turtles in Time or Fatal Fury and that would be it. But upstairs, there was a hobby shop, a heavy metal shop. I'm not making this up. The name of the heavy metal shop was T's and Keys, and I remember buying Eaten Back to Life by Cannibal Corpse, and because it had that awesome, wicked cover title on it. It was just this like zombie eating himself. And I remember the cleaning lady found the album. She found my cache of heavy metal, and my mom took it. I never saw those CDs again. I think I had, what do you call it? Destined to Fester, the first, like the second Autopsy album too. And I also had Butchered at Birth, which was another Cannibal Corpse album. So yeah, metal really early on for me. Not to mention, inside that hobby shop, you would also have the Apache Snap Tight kit. And you would also have a lot of Raw Partha miniatures. And the guy who sold these would take them out of the boxes, he'd cut the boxes open, he'd put them in individual foams, and you could buy these models for $2.99 to $7.99, depending on how big they were. Not to mention, he also sold a lot of the Warhammer stuff. You go into the heavy metal shop, and you'd have a lot of artwork, like, what do you call it? Frank Frazetta, Vampirella, Death Dealer by Frank Frazetta and Conan. Not to mention, you would also have Clyde Codwell, Larry Elmore, and Jeff Easley paintings inside there. You go back into the hobby shop, what's there? A lot of the same artwork inside the Dungeons and Dragons manuals. And you go down the street from those two stores upstairs, there was a comic book store, and this is actually one that I carried with me from the 90s. It's not worth anything, even though this is done by Jusco, and he gave us the X-Men in the 90s. And, you know, all I got to do is thank him for Rogue and Psylocke. So, and Jim Lee, you got to thank him too. But you got all of that Bad Girl artwork, I think, was kind of a factor, and I would look for the same kind of features and the same kind of looking at the artwork and try to find Raw Partha miniatures that looked like that. So it wouldn't ever blossom or flourish or turn into anything until I was older. When I was older, I'd go to this hobby store on State Street, and let's just say that there was a group of fat guys there who were soy boys before the term soy boy. And they didn't want anything to do with me. I was just a young punk kid, and I think these guys, they were definitely the youngest of the Xers. They were probably all born in like 75. So they had a few years on me and everything. And they were just complete and demonstrously mean. Some of the meanest people on the face of the planet, and they didn't want me around. Nobody took me under their wing. So we'll just get that out of the way right there. I would, when I painted my first army, I believe I was about 17. Hideous results. The first 2 units I didn't use primer, then I discovered primer. I remember getting some very fine sandpaper and gritting up the skin of the Bretonnian steeds to make the paint stick. Because up until then I had used tester's paint. And I was used to tester's paint sticking to the model without primer, because it was model plastic gray, and I learned anything that I learned about modeling, I learned on those Snap Tight Apache helicopter kits. So hideous results. Painted up my first army, threw it away, did it again, and then after I painted my second army, I got a little bit better, kept the best 5 models I had, threw it away, did it again. And I was off to the races after that. This is always something that would run in the background for me all through early adulthood to where I am today with a basement full of this shit. So I've always been a very artistic, multifaceted individual, not to mention a hermit misanthrope, very similar to like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. Just Just it kind of fits with my lifestyle because, you know, when I was going to school, I'd finish my workout, I'd study for 3 hours every single Friday. Whether I wanted to or not, I would always study, unless every now and then I'd treat myself to a concert or something, but I always studied. Every single night, I always made sure I read my books and had all my P's and Q's minded there. And then so I could either play video games, and don't get me wrong, I played my fair share of Halo and Left 4 Dead, not to mention when I was in high school, my fair share of Half-Life and Myth 2, which was one of the first Bungie games. So I played a lot of video games. They were always there, but it was always just something that I did in the side. When I was, I'd say around 2007, I started acting, and took to it very easily. With this same face, I played Petruchio in Taming of the Shrew, Gordon in Dead Man's Cell Phone, not to mention Phil in Inspecting Carol, just to name a few. And I didn't really have any trouble memorizing lines because my stepmother would read them for me on MP3. I'd hear that back to me all the way, memorize the script while washing the dishes or something, because I'd sit there and I'd have the script next to me and I'd try to cue myself. So, yeah, just really kind of artistic. Not to mention I can draw, not very well. About the best I can pull out is a Betty or a Veronica or an Archie, just in about 20 minutes. And I have timed myself recently doing that. So that's something that you should be able to do. When I was younger, I used to draw my own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics. And don't have any of those left, but I was really good at drawing Rocksteady. I could never draw Bebop. I don't know what I lacked. Probably a, what do you call it, a degree in anatomy or whatever. So 2007, 2009, I did not know what YouTube was until 2010. Didn't even know what that was, and I really wish I had known what I know about filming and making videos today back then, because I probably could have been something. But it was just something I really liked. Not to mention, every now and then I'd have a good friend that I'd play games with. I met my buddy Anthony that way. I met his brother. I met my buddy Bubbles that way. I would meet a lot of people who would come and go, but those Bubbles and Anthony and Anthony's brother have always kind of been there. And we played a lot of fantasy together. And it was really hard. And it didn't. I really figured out how to play fantasy playing my buddy, because he had this combo. So all I have to do is stop Wither, and I realized that orcs don't give a shit about plague. You know, if I've got 40 orcs in a unit, I'll just go 10 dice at a time. I'm going to lose 2 orcs, because most of us are going to pass our toughness test. Just don't let a Wither get off. And so that's kind of my playing aspect. I played a lot of good games of fantasy. My friends are more into 40K now. Me, not so much. I'd much rather do a lot more historicals, like my newly minted Parliament Cavalry, you know, because buff coats are easy to paint. But would I recommend the hobby to anybody? Yes and no. I would only recommend the hobby to somebody who has artistic prowess or some finger dexterity, like my buddy Dylan. I recommended it to him. Well, he wanted to do it. He wanted to do it. You have to want to do it, and you have to realize that it's work. But he's going to get things very quickly about the hobby because he's a mechanic, works on cars, sits there and, you know, rewires lights and everything, and, you know, or trailers, and he's going to get things very quickly. Not to mention he's a drummer, and he can also draw. So you have to have the right kind of character traits in order to become a wargamer. This hobby, despite what Games Workshop says, is not for everybody. A lot of people don't understand that this is a lot of work, and it's a very deep commitment. So yes and no. If somebody who I thought was illiterate at being a hobbyist, I would have them start on bolt action and be like, here's a box of Marines, or here's a box of Germans, or buy that Band of Brothers box set. Buy that, build all the models, and after you're done building them, call me, we'll go get paint, and then the rest of your hobby supplies, and then you paint everything in that box. And you're going to try to do it within the time frame of 2 to 3 months. And if they can't do that, you know, it might not be for them. So I'd rather save somebody the money and the time and the heartbreak. I got started in YouTube really heavily around 2016 after I think I went to 2016 Adepticon. And that's what the 2015. The end of 2015 is when Kings of War 2nd Edition came out, and that kind of helped because I had good timing to get into that, and that's where a good core. I think that's where I got my first 500 subscribers was from the Kings of War crowd. So I'm very thankful for them. Even though I haven't played a lot of Kings of War 3rd Edition, I really think that has something to do with more the gatekeepers rather than me. And, you know, just me not being on Facebook anymore and being divorced from that. But it's still a good game. But let's see here. I just like painting different models too. Not to mention different lines. The Mantic Undead line. I painted... if I just off the top of my head, I think I'm into the 35 plus range for armies that I've painted for myself over the years. So, I mean, I just off the top of my head, 6 undead armies, 6 Bretonnian armies, 4 renditions of greenskins, 2 Empire armies, 3 renditions of Chaos, Beasts of Chaos, Trolls of Chaos, not to mention Warriors of Chaos. I had a whole Throg Troll King army, and let's see here. And that's just, what is that? 12 plus 3, 15 just off the top of my head right there. Very easy, not to mention the Lord of the Rings groups, my Space Orcs, so we're up to 17. Yeah, I've been there and back again through the years. So as far as YouTube goes, I really wanted to bring some of my acting talent into it and become kind of like the Rowdy Roddy Piper of YouTubing, because nobody was doing comedy. Nobody was doing comedy in these video battle reports. I found out very unfortunately the hard way that gamers don't laugh at shit. That you know, I wanted to make. I mean, if you're watching one of my videos and you're laughing, I'm doing my job. I'm trying to entertain you. I'm trying to make you lose your shit and spit milk everywhere or something like that. You know. So you know, but these a lot of gamers are just like my brushes have to be in the right order on my desk, kind of people. And would I recommend YouTube to people now? Not unless you have a lot of time and money. Like a channel with lots of time and money is Knights at the Gaming Table. When they started, they ran an advertising campaign. Not to mention they did an $85 box set giveaway each week to get a subscriber base. All for a channel that makes about $169 a month. No shit. If you're just going off monetizing. I mean, I'm sure they sell some shirts and, you know, they might be able to pay their light bill at whatever store they run. So I don't really recommend it. I mean, but only the brave ones come here to die. Only the brave come to YouTube to die. Simply because, you know, YouTube isn't the way it used to be back in 2006 and 2009, where you could participate in that gig economy. You had a chance. Now you have less than that. You have to run an ad campaign through YouTube. You have to buy your support base. And it's really kind of sad. And there's an algorithm. There's 2 review processes for each video. The robot watches it and a person watches it, you know. And then they adjust it in the algorithm after you release it. So it's not that good. But if you're brave and you want to come, you know, it's like that song by Nasty Savage. Only the brave ones come here to die. Yeah. You can, I think it's Gladiator. That's the song. You can have a lot of fun. You meet a lot of awesome people. Like JVC Paints, I think, you know, he did his story, and it's really cool to see this guy living in Japan for whatever reason. And, you know, that's how I found VK Von Ketteringham and Alan Smith, was all through YouTube. And it's been really good for me. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. You might not go anywhere. You might go somewhere, you know, but, you know, I mean, YouTube is what it is. I really wish the government would take YouTube away from Google, and we'd probably be a lot better off, because at the end of the day, YouTube wants to become Hulu, and that's where they want to go. They want to be Hulu. So as far as where do I see my channel in 5 years? I want to do more helpful videos like I've been doing, the rambles. I want to give dating advice, because when I originally started this channel, I wanted to be a lot like Razor Fist and Movie Mayhem. Movie Mayhem was the guy who had his Chaos Dwarf army destroyed by Blue Table Painting. and he tried to sue Sean Gately for, I think, an egregious sin, because I saw some of those miniatures. Come on, man, if you're paying $14 a model and they're not painting the skulls that the what do you call it, the Chaos Dwarves are braiding their beards with, or if you're not painting the skulls on the hats, because, you know, you miss a skull on a Games Workshop model, you done fucked up. Are you crazy? There are skulls all over those things, you know. I mean, you're paying a lot of money to get the miniatures, and that's what you call a whale. You always want to take care of your whale, but Movie Mayhem would turn his channel into Gaming Mayhem. And I really liked his channel, and I wish he didn't get sick shortly after that incident with Sean. He got I think he might have gotten cancer. Because I used to follow him on Facebook, and that was really the first channel I subscribed to, was Movie Mayhem. He would do a lot of movie reviews, and then he turned it into Gaming Mayhem. And then Razorfist does the rants, and I said, you know, I've got about 1/10 of his talent. I wish if I had a third of his talent, my channel probably would have gone somewhere, because he's very quick to think and everything. So that's originally where I wanted my channel. So the future of my channel is probably going to be the Hobby Ramble, just a little bit. You know, it's going to be part Holy Divers Pit, part dating advice, part modeling and hobby advice. But every now and then I'm going to do a battle report in some of these games. The game's going to be Hail Caesar, Warhammer Ancients, Warhammer Fantasy, Kings of War, and what do you call it? Pike and Shot, Bolt Action, and what do you call it? There's one more game, I can't think of it right now, but and every now and then. But you know, I've got a really good group of gamers around me. I've got my let me talk about my, before I go, let me talk about my buddy Mike, aka Creature Feature. He showed me how to do a lot of video editing stuff, and he was somebody who just I had known, and we started hanging out, we started playing games with one another and everything, and then all of a sudden he says, I know how to edit video footage. I'm like, you do? And then he took me under his wing and he showed me, and if it hadn't been for gaming, I never would have met that guy, and he's a really cool guy. And I never would have learned how to use Filmora. I never would have downloaded it, never would have thought about that, because I was using someone else's license for Adobe Editor, and you know, but Filmora, way better than Adobe Premiere. So yeah, just you know, I got a good group of gamers around me, and I want to train everybody in the Warhammer system so that we can play Warhammer Ancients, because there's less of a model count in that, and I think that the games, I already know how to play Warhammer, and it would be nice to be able to differentiate just from Pike and Shot and Black Powder. That's the other game I want to get into Black Powder. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. I have Macedonians that I need to get to, and I think there's at least 80 of them on foot that I need to paint, not to mention maybe another 25 horsemen that I need to get to, and then not to mention maybe 50 skirmishers. So I got a lot of Macedonians I got to get through, and before I do that, and if this winter is kind to me, all of that shit will get done. So that's kind of where I see it in 5 years. Other than that, I'd rather just do a 7-minute video like Von Ketteringham, or, you know, and just be like, this is done, here I am, and move on, and everybody likes my shit, and, you know, watches my channel, gets jealous. They say I get jealous. I get really, you know, I want to go over to England and just touch all of his stuff. So that's where I'm at. As for nominations, I'll nominate my buddy Ranger Miniatures, simply because I was going to nominate JVC Paints, and lo and behold, he put out a video. So if I miss something, let me know in the comment section below, but that's really how I got into it. And as you know, YouTube has many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, or subscribe. But until I see you again, keep fighting, keep playing, keep painting, and don't ever let anybody tell you you can't. And stay metal, my friends.
I'm more of an expert at exposing the moon. Get out of here! Let's go! See if you find the one crater.